From weekend getaways to extended road trips, California is full of places to explore. And for over 100 years, the Auto Club has been there to help. Our travel agents offer you expertise regarding destination information, trip planning and reservations, either in office, on the phone, or online. Across the state, throughout the country, or around the world. Through all life's travels, we're always with you.
Road Trip has been made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
When it was created in 1884, it was the largest man-made lake in the world. And now, years later, located high in the San Bernardino Mountains, Big Bear Lake continues to be a beautiful place, full of natural and human history. And that's where we're headed, Big Bear Lake, on this very special road trip.
Big Bear Lake with the motorboats a-puttin'. Big Bear Lake in the river.
Well, we are starting our road trip, and Rob, I gotta tell you, I'm excited about this. We couldn't have had better weather.
That's right.
It's early in the morning. We're gonna have a full day ahead of us, and we're starting the day here with Rob. And Rob, tell everybody why we're starting with you and what we're gonna do today, where we are right now.
Well, basically, we're here at the Discovery Center, and the Big Bear Discovery Center is your gateway to the National Forest.
Wait a minute, the gateway to the San Bernardino National Forest.
That's right. We provide all the information you'll ever need to get up here and enjoy your national forest.
Because a lot of people, when they think of Big Bear, they think of skiing.
That's right.
They think of the lake. They think of the town itself.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the Big Bear experience is can be a totally natural experience, can't it?
That's right. We've got lots of things that we can do up here, and we provide several different programs that get people out in the forest, and we provide lots of other information for people to do it on their own.
Like what kinds of things? Hiking, canoeing?
Mm-hmm. We don't do hiking programs, but we do canoeing programs, we do mining tours, we do flower tours, and we do eagle tours during the wintertime.
And if you want to hike, I guess you just
plenty of hiking out here.
Hit the trail.
That's right.
All right, here is this beautiful Big Bear Discovery Center. Now, who runs this thing?
Well, the San Bernardino National Forest Association runs this. We're a nonprofit, and we have a partnership with the Forest Service to provide all the education and interpretation here for visitors to the National Forest.
To let people know what's here.
Yeah, and this is a unique partnership. It doesn't, there's nothing else like it in the U.S. And
all right, let's go inside and take a look. The Big Bear Discovery Center, it's been here since?
1998, May 18th.
Okay, we're inside the Discovery Center. What's going on over here? Are you signing up for activities?
No, I'm just grabbing some information about some of the trails so I can go hiking later.
Okay, so what are you interested in your Big Bear experience being?
Well, I'd like to check out some of the campsites, especially Serrano, which I heard is the most popular one around.
Okay, now are you going to get out on the water? Are you going to get out on the lake?
Probably not on the water. Maybe I'll look at it, but I don't think I'm ready to quite go out there. It's a little cold this
Where
morning.
are you from?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, okay, so this is all new to you here.
This is all new. I've never been to Big Bear.
Wow, do you get a lot of people like this coming in who don't know what they're getting into?
Right, we have people from all over the world that come to the Discovery Center. They want to hike and fish and camp and just have a good time in the mountains.
So you're the first people they see. What do you tell most of them when you see them the first time?
Ask them if they want to take a hike.
Oh, you tell them to take a hike.
You tell them where to go, right?
Well, it's got to be a lot of fun for you being here.
It is. You meet all kinds of people. Just
good people.
Good people, that's right.
Okay, we're hitting the road. And Rob, where are we exactly? What are we doing?
Well, we're on one of the Forest Service roads, and we're headed up to the Butler Peak Fire Lookout. Really one of the best views around up here.
Now, this is one of about 4 different Jeep tours that are available through the Discovery Center.
Yeah, that's right. This is one that we do in the fall, and in the summertime we do a mining tour that goes down to the limestone quarries, and we get to climb around on the big trucks and everything like that, and sometimes even blow stuff up for us. And then in the spring, we just finished our wildflower tours, and in the wintertime, we get the bald eagles coming through here.
So there's always something to see on one of these Jeep tours.
That's right. Yep. This is we try to get people out in the forest, places they might not go otherwise.
And what exactly are we? What's the benefit of seeing this right now?
Well, this is kind of helping people to appreciate their forest, and the more they appreciate it, the more they're going to be willing to take care of it. And so we've got some beautiful areas out here, and some streams coming through the forest, and big trees out here, so it's a lot of fun. Occasionally we do see animals.
And when did this become a national forest?
Around 1907.
How big is this forest?
This forest is about 800,000 acres.
And is Big Bear just kind of plopped down right in the middle of it?
Yeah, it's kind of a unique situation. It's right in the middle of a national forest. There's only a couple other places like that. West Yellowstone in the middle of a national park.
Yeah.
So kind of nice to have your backyard right out here like this.
How high are we now over here?
We're getting real close to, we're about 8,200 right now.
Look at this. This is the first time we've really gotten this panoramic view up here. Look, now Big Bear is back down here. This is beautiful looking down here. This is about as beautiful a shot as I think I've ever seen up here in these mountains. Most people don't get up this high in the mountains.
No, that's definitely true, and that's why I want to keep doing these tours to get people up here, because you can see at least 15 miles in every direction.
Now we've reached our destination, and you've kind of kept this a secret until we got here.
Yeah, you know, just sits right up there, right up on top of its own little rock outcropping there. We're going to have to hike up to it just a little ways. And
what is this called?
This is called Butler Peak Fire Lookout.
Butler Peak Fire Lookout, and it is perched literally right up on the top of, was this the mountain here?
Yep, this is right at the top, 8,500 feet, basically 8,535 actually. And we're going to go up and we're going to meet one of our fire lookout volunteers.
What an amazing vista here. Just getting to it.
One of the best views around, and not a bad place to have to work for the whole day.
Look at this old tree right here too. This is, all of it just kind of comes together.
You can tell which way the wind's blowing with that tree.
Well, now we are on the trail up to the top of the fire tower, and this really shows I mean, they built this thing out in the middle of nowhere up on top of a pile of rocks.
Pretty amazing considering it was in 1935 or so when they were doing that, and they had to drill down into those rocks and put it right up there on top, and I mean, just building it, pretty amazing feat, I think.
You know, somebody else has mentioned, what about earthquakes? This thing has withstood all these earthquakes over the years.
That's right. Very, very well built.
We're on top of Butler's Peak, and this must be Mr. Butler right here. Howdy, how you doing?
Hello, how you doing today? Welcome to Butler Peak.
Your name is Larry Hovis.
Hovis, yes.
Now, you're the docent?
Fire lookout host.
Fire lookout host, and this is probably the most beautiful view that I have seen in Southern California.
Yes, I enjoy it very much.
You're the guy who gets all the out-of-breath hikers as they huff and puff up to the top.
Yeah, they come up here, they're pretty tired sometimes, but most of them manage okay.
And what kind of questions do we ask mainly?
Oh, they ask about some of the views. We have Big Bear Lake back this way, and to the west of us in the other direction is Arrowhead Lake, which are pretty popular.
So really, you've got an amazing view up here.
Yes, with the clear skies, we can see up to Telescope Peak. Mount Whitney area will come in once in a while, and on a good clear day we can see Catalina and the ocean.
You're kidding. Now, what other questions do you get? Save me from asking them.
Oh, one is, when did they build this? It was built in 1935 and put into service in 36. The altitude is 8,537 feet. We're the highest lookout in the San Bernardino Mountains.
Wow.
San Gorgonio, his old grayback mountain over there.
Yeah, we saw that coming up in the Jeep.
Yeah,
that's an amazing view down there.
It's about 11,500 feet. And
yeah.
That's people ask about that one.
And do people ever ask you if on a windy day, this thing vibrates a little bit?
Yeah, it gets a little bit of a shudder or shaking to it when you get 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds. It gusts pretty good up here.
And do you really do something other than answer questions up here? I mean, do you use these things to look for fire?
Last year I had the first fire of the season to report. And,
really?
I've been up here about 6 seasons, and when the thunderstorms come through, we get quite a few lightning strikes. A couple of weeks ago we had about 12 lightning strikes and fires started throughout the whole forest.
So you're really providing a service up here.
Yes, we do.
We found some more hikers, tourists. I'm not sure, what title would you like to be called?
We are campers.
Campers.
That started hiking.
Now, did you know what you were getting into when you started up to the top of this fire tower?
22 years ago, when we got married, he brought me up here.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you've been back in 22 years?
We've come about every year. We make a trek up here.
So this is kind of a pilgrimage, kind of a renewal of vows kind of a thing up here. Did you all had a date up here, or?
No, actually, it was a honeymoon. We camped and brought our motocross dirt bikes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Well, if this doesn't put you in a romantic mood, nothing is. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Maybe I should just step out of the way, and you want to give her a little peck on the cheek just to kind of...
We'll always take those.
Now we're ending our adventure up here on Butler Peak Fire Lookout by... Actually, Rob, we're looking out at something that's been pretty much of a disaster out here.
Yeah, this was a fire about 3 years ago. It was called the Willow Fire, and it burned about 63,000 acres. And this is why we have our fire lookout hosts up here.
Yeah,
they spot the fires.
This area was burned, all of this area.
Yeah, it started down near Lake Arrowhead, and it worked to the north and the east. And you can see it going up there, and you can see the edge of it right along the road there. That's one of the Forest Service roads. And it goes all the way out there.
That was a huge fire.
About 100 square miles. Most wildfires aren't that big.
So actually we're ending our adventure up here on a negative note, looking at the fire, but on a very positive note, standing here with Larry, because Larry, you represent the positive side of it. You're here with your binoculars looking out for fires to keep things like this from happening in the future.
Yes, as myself, and we have about 300 volunteers involved with this that keep a pretty good watch on the forest.
Wow, congratulations to you and to all the other volunteers
thank you.
Who are doing a great service up here in these fire lookouts for all of us. Well, now we are in for a treat. I'm standing here with Dick Kuhn, who is the president of Snow Summit. And Dick, on this beautiful summer day here with the sun shining and not a cloud in the sky, we are standing in what in December, January, February, March would be teeming with activity here. This is ground zero for the skiers, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the base area, and thousands of people move through every day, really, in the winter.
How many people come to Big Bear to ski in a ski season?
We do about 500,000 visits here at this site.
Really?
Yeah, and Bear Mountain does another 250,000 as well. So
that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, for the size of the area, the business we do is pretty healthy for.
All right, now we're looking
industry.
right up the hill here. This is again would all be covered in snow.
Yep.
And people would be standing in line to get on the lifts to head up the mountain.
That's right.
Now the story is, though, that Big Bear has not always been known as a ski resort, has it? In fact, just the contrary.
Yeah, it was a summer resort here based on the lake activities in the forest and so on through most of its history. It's only been in the last 25 years that economically you might say that the economy was more driven by winter recreation than summer.
So the history of Big Bear really is as a summer resort, not as a ski resort.
That's right.
And how did the snow history begin here?
Well, basically, there were some inklings back in the 20s, but then there were a few people in the 30s that saw there would be a potential to kind of even out things, and skiing was an up-and-coming sport, and there were a few far-sighted people that thought, gee, if they put in a few lifts or tows or provide a little skiing, it might help tide the dry or the dark period through the winter.
Because this town literally, you told me, shut down in the wintertime.
That's right.
It was a ghost town up
here. A ghost town, absolutely. It was all basically lake resorts, fishing, lodges, and that kind of thing. And the population, the permanent population, shrunk to very little. I wasn't here at the time, but I did have studied the history, and that's what it was like.
Well, in the early days, was it a big gamble that those guys took who came up with the idea of making this a ski resort?
Not really, because the facilities that they were interested in were pretty primitive and low cost, and so there wasn't a lot of capital outlay, and they were right. It wasn't. It grew gradually. At first, there wasn't much to it. It was completely dependent on natural snow, which in Southern California is not abundant. So they picked their times and didn't really get going till after the war. Then in the mid 50s, early 60s, snowmaking became viable, economically viable, and it was at that point that we saw more and more areas built, and only really by the 70s, with the growing population and popularity of skiing and the snowmaking and the location, it all sort of came together. And it's at that point then you could say it switched from a summer economy to more of a winter economy.
Now, it's kind of windy up here today.
Yeah, it's a breeze. It's typical summer breeze.
Yeah. And do people come up here and ride this lift in the summertime like we're riding it?
Yeah, this is one of the mountain bike centers of the world, actually. Some of the largest competitions, national competitions, people ride up the lift, and then there's downhill trails where they compete or just ride for fun. And on a weekend day, there'll be a line of people with bikes and sightseers at the bottom of the lift trying to get on. It looks so, in a way, it's similar to the winter, you know.
Isn't it interesting, though, the different scenic view you have in the summer than in the winter? Because it really is, even though it's the same terrain, it's a totally different look.
Oh yeah, especially if we have a lot of snow. The oak trees are out and blooming, as you can see, and the pine forest has quite a different appearance in the summer.
Boy, this is just beautiful up here.
And it's good. You're going to see more too as we get higher.
How high up does this go?
Well, we started off at 7,000 feet, which is basically the valley floor, and it'll go to 8,200.
Wow.
So that's a 1,200 foot vertical.
Howdy, how you doing? We got a whole bunch going by right now. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
It's hard not to have a good time up here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. As you're seeing a lot of different activities, and this is one of the more unique things. So we get a lot of trade, both from locals who come up maybe once a year, and then people from down the hill.
So most of the people who come here are from Southern California.
Yes, but we're seeing more and more that people will go to Southern California as a destination, go to Disneyland or someplace like that, and then make a side trip up to the mountains. And they're really surprised by this alpine forested area that we have so close to LA. People think of palm trees and orange groves, but this is a true alpine mountain setting.
I never had thought of that. This is a perfect place for a ski resort.
It certainly is, especially with the people we have to sell tickets to. There's so many of them.
He's smiling from ear to ear because your market is, the 20 million people of Southern California.
Yeah, it's huge, yeah.
Now, I don't know whether the camera can pick it up, but we're pretty far off the ground in some of these areas, too.
Coming up a spot here, the terrain drops away, and the average is about 35 feet high, but here it's more like 60 or so.
Wow, because it isn't quite a thrill ride, but it gives you kind of a thrill when you're up here and you look down.
If you're really afraid of heights, then you might want to just stay out on the lake or something. But it's really safe, as you can see, the safety bar. You have to work to get out of here and fall out.
Now here come some guys who have come all the way to the top to pick up your bikes.
Hey, Huell.
And do some biking.
Welcome to Big Bear.
Well, this is great. This is the first time I've ever really been up here. This is an amazing place.
Oh man, this is great living here. I live here.
Oh, really?
Every day is a holiday for me. It's
so
wonderful.
Now, is the deal that a lot of people come up here to bike?
Yeah, in the off season, this is great. It's just as good as like snow season, so people have a great time.
Yeah.
Biking, hiking, you can do a lot of stuff like that.
A lot of good bike trails here?
Oh yeah, this is the best biking in Southern California.
We're gonna head down this little secret trail down here. I don't know the name.
What do you mean a secret trail?
Well, it's not secret to the people that come around here, but It's just down the trail, and it's kind of a little unmarked thing.
And is it a steep trail? Is it a hairy trail?
It's fast and kind of windy, and you can get up your speed, and it's awesome.
Now, which trail are you going to go down?
We're going to go down the 210 West, I think, and it's kind of like a fire road, and then turns into a single track.
Wow, that sounds fairly
fast. Yeah, it goes pretty quick.
So
it's fun though.
Is the word out that this is the place to come to ride your bike?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. We started snowboarding up here we've been doing that for a while. So now I think mountain biking is the way to go.
Where are you all from?
I'm from Redwood City, up north, and
way up north.
Yeah, and we all go to school at UCLA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're from?
Van Nuys.
Van Nuys?
Apple Valley.
Apple Valley?
And Santa Monica, California.
Boy, so this is the place to be.
Yeah. During summers, the best place to bike around here, I guess.
Isn't that interesting that a ski resort has turned into a bike resort?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It works out perfect all downhill.
Yeah. Okay, here we are at Bear Mountain Golf Course, and fellas, you were telling me that this course has kind of an interesting history to it.
Yeah, this course has been in existence for over 50 years here in the Big Bear Valley, and really was developed originally just as a kind of almost a cow pasture field, and there wasn't
a little
much
rough around the edges.
Very rough around the edges. And over the 50 years, each year we've tried to put a little money into it, and there's been a couple different owners, and they've each really stepped up to the plate. And we just really have a great little 9-hole course to enjoy yourself up here in Big Bear. It's kind of a great little 2 or 3 hour experience.
It's the only golf course in town.
Oh yeah, it's the only golf course at 7,100 feet.
Now that's what's interesting, this 7,100 feet, because what is it you claim happens here that makes this a very attractive course for all golfers?
Well, it makes golfers that aren't that good seem a lot better because your ball flies higher and farther, 7,000 feet.
You're kidding.
No,
has that really been proven?
I don't know if it's been proven, but you can tell.
So the ball goes higher and further because you're at 7,100 feet.
Yeah, an average shot from an iron goes about 10 yards further at this elevation compared to sea level.
And is this probably one of the only golf courses anywhere in the United States, or maybe even the world, at this elevation?
I'm sure there's a few higher in Colorado, but as far as Southern California, this would certainly be the highest. Yeah.
All right, let's check this out, fellas. We just heard that this course allows your ball to go higher and further. Is that true?
That's true. My ball does, but Tim's doesn't.
Mine goes lower and deeper. I haven't been able to prove that theory, Huell.
Just like an airplane, it takes more energy, so well, anyhow, it works better.
So it really does?
Oh, yeah. I can hit 250 up here at Flatland, maybe 200.
Wow, so this is the place.
It's a great place to be.
To come.
That's right.
If you need a little help from nature.
That's right, you got that.
Now we're in for a real treat. This is a place in Big Bear that I've been wanting to visit for years. I've been hearing a lot about this place. Don, you're the guy who's going to show us around. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Good to have you with us, Huell. My name is Don Richardson. I'm the curator of the animal park.
And tell us what it is about this park that sets it aside from any zoo that I've ever been to in my life.
Well, the first thing is that there's only 2 alpine zoos in the entire United States, and we happen to be one of them. The animals from our park are also animals that have been orphaned or injured, or for one reason or other are impacted animals. So
that's what I was looking for. All the animals here have been orphaned, impacted. What does that mean?
Impacted means they either have been hit by a car and have physical injuries that preclude their release, or they're imprinted, which means they come in at such a young age that they don't have the survival instincts in the wild and so forth.
So this is really a wonderful place, a new home for these animals that really would probably be dead if they weren't here.
Exactly. This is a permanent home for them.
All right, let's start off right here with the $500 shot right here.
Yeah, it's our national bird.
Absolutely. What are we looking at here?
Well, these are 2 bald eagles. We have a male and a female. They're called Yakima and Alaska. Both of them are with us because of the result of illegal hunters, ones that didn't follow gun laws and actually shot one of the wings off the birds.
Oh,
so they're no longer capable of flight. So we provide them an ability. We deal with their handicap by providing them a circular rotation up to their nest so that they can look down on people. Actually, Big Bear Lake is one of the largest wintering grounds for bald eagles. During the winter season, we'll have upwards to 30 bald eagles coming up here for staying overnight or fishing on the lake and so forth.
Boy, these are spectacular birds, and what a great way to start the tour through the animal park.
You bet, you bet.
Now this is exciting. We have come to a cage with
3 young mountain lion cubs.
Mountain lion cubs.
Yes.
Now, who's that in there with them?
This is Debbie. Debbie is the animal keeper that's in charge of these animals, and she's very carefully raised them with a lot of affection.
So now what's the story on the mountain lion cubs?
Well, what happened with them is that their mother was shot up on a ranch up in Northern California. And the Department of Fish and Game found out that the mother was lactating on the autopsy, and so they went back out and found the kittens in the den.
Now, are we going to be able to go in here?
We would sure love to take you in.
Boy, this is exciting, I think. They are cubs, right?
Yes, they're about 7 months old right now.
Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh my gosh. Now, what will they do?
Let's shut the door, though.
Oh. Well, they come right at you. Look at them. Oh, my gosh. Don, come over here and tell me a little bit about them.
Well, these are Peg, Canyon, and Cascade. And Cascade and Canyon were named by our keeper staff, and Peg was named after a lady who had set up a foundation to help support some of the operations of the park. And they're about 7 months old, so you can still see the spots in their bodies. They'll gradually lose those spots up to about 9 months of age.
Oh, look over here behind us. Look at this.
Yep. This is Canyon.
Oh, my God.
She's our talker. She likes to talk a lot.
Look at the size of those paws on that thing. Oh,
now,
my gosh.
They're part of an educational program that we operate. The park goes to a lot of different outdoor science schools, and we're actually producing over 200 education programs away from the animal park every year to about 30,000 kids a year.
So this takes the story of the animals into the classroom.
Exactly.
You probably have a lot of classroom visits here as well.
We actually do. The docents that we have with our nonprofit group provide a lot of tours for various different school groups that come up here to the mountains.
I've got to take advantage of this. I'll never do this again in my life, I know. Will I be able to touch?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh.
You can hear her purring.
Yeah.
They're small cats because they purr.
I just keep thinking something's going to happen here.
She's going to want your mic.
Oh, look at this. Oh, my gosh.
This is Cascade here.
What a beautiful, beautiful animal. And if it weren't for this place, this animal wouldn't even be alive.
That's very true.
Now, this is very interesting, Don. What are we seeing right now?
Well, this little guy is with us. He's a 3-limb bear that came into us just at the end of the year. And what happened with him is he had a severe compound fracture of his front leg.
So he's lost his front leg?
He's lost his front leg. The veterinarians had to amputate it because of the injury. And so as a consequence, he has his own special enclosure here. And he's doing extremely well for being a young bear. He's going to adapt quite well to his handicap.
Now, is he a California black bear?
California black bear. The only bears we have in California right now are black bears.
Because he's brown.
He's brown, but the black bears actually come in about 9 color types. They can come from a pure white to a pure black.
Look at now. Is this a full-grown black bear?
No. He's only about a year old now.
How much bigger will he get?
Oh gosh, he could get upwards to about 400 to 500 pounds.
So like 2 or 3 or 4 times his size.
Yes.
He looks so cute and so tame, but you'll notice, our viewers will notice that we are not in the picture. We are standing off to the side.
Yes.
And that's because it's one thing to play with a little cub mountain lion. It's another to get up too close.
He has tremendous power in those feet, and he can give you a pretty nasty bite if he wants to.
So am I about as close as I should be right now?
That's probably about it, yeah.
I don't like the way you said that.
Christy has spent a lot of time working with him from the time he was an infant. She bottle raised him, and so he's quite familiar with.
He was
Christy.
in bad shape when you got him.
He was in very bad shape. We weren't sure if he was going to survive, but Christy gave a lot of TLC to him.
How did he lose his leg?
We don't know. We assume it was either a car accident, or he fell off of a cliff, or maybe somebody decided to try to illegally trap him.
How'd you get him?
He came into us through the veterinarian. When the people found him, what they did is they tried to get a veterinarian to take care of him, and nobody would. So our veterinarian that works with our park specializes with the exotic species, and so he offered to take care of the bear for him.
Boy, we are ending up with this majestic grizzly bear. Actually, three
of them.
Grizzly bears. What's their story?
Well, these particular bears are what are called three strikes bears. They came in contact with too many people. They originate from just outside the Yellowstone region. But of course, Big Bear Lake got its name originally from the grizzly. This was
so
one
there
of the
used to
largest.
be a lot of grizzlies in this area.
Yep.
So at one time there were literally thousands of these grizzly bears right here in Southern California. In fact, there were so many of them in California, they're on our state flag.
Well, yes. Obviously, this used to be our state animal. The last one up here in the San Bernardino range was shot in 1906. The last one in California was shot in 1922. So they're now extinct in California. The only bears here in California are now black bears.
Wow, and this is the only place in California, except I think you said with one zoo up in Fresno, this is the only place in all of California that we can see
our state
animal.
That's right.
Which of course we exterminated. These bears they are majestic bears.
They are absolutely beautiful. We have three in here. We have Tutu, Harley, and Ayla. And Tutu,
are they a family?
They are a family, actually, which is another unique thing about the park, is that we've been able to maintain the family together as the cubs have grown up.
So they took the mother out and two of her cubs from Yellowstone.
Right, because at the time the cubs were only 6 months old, so they wouldn't have been able to survive in the wild without her. So they had to remove her and the cubs.
Well, they are beautiful animals, and I tell you what, this is a great place to end our little adventure here at Moonridge Animal Park, because this is such a treasure, not only for Big Bear, but for all of California. This is a place we're going to put the website and the phone number on the screen. We hope lots of people are going to come up here and make donations. I guess when they pay to come in, all the money goes to help continue this good work.
You bet. And we happen to be the best kept secret in San Bernardino County.
Well, so, hopefully we're going to let that secret out.
Well, we sure hope so.
Now, not everybody can get in and actually touch the mountain lion cubs like we did.
No, I don't think we can do that with everybody.
And nobody can go inside this cage.
I'm not about to.
But I tell you what, you've got how many animals here?
We have about 150 animals representing 83 different species.
Many of them from right here in California.
You bet.
And this is a real treasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank
for
you
showing us around this place. You gotta come to Big Bear and see this wonderful park, which is dedicated to animals that have been damaged, been injured, been stressed, and now they have a new wonderful home right here in this beautiful setting.
You bet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's another beautiful morning here on Big Bear Lake. Well, here we are. We are starting our second day of our road trip here to Big Bear, and before we start the day, or as we start the day, I have to take just a few minutes to talk about last night, because where we stayed last night was a perfect example of what Big Bear, what old Big Bear is all about. And here to tell us that story, introduce yourself to everybody.
My name is Nick Lanza.
You are the owner of the place that we stayed last night. Now this, you heard me say this is old Big Bear.
Right.
I was right, wasn't I?
Yeah, this is old Big Bear. 1907 it was built.
That's amazing. What in the world were they building in 1907 out here? What were they building for?
Well, in 1907, it was really mainly the water was for the orange groves down the hill, but this location was perfect for fishing. So it was a summer gentleman's fishing camp for many years, only open in the summer. And in probably the 60s, then they piped it and made it able to handle the winter, so then it was open all year.
So it wasn't until the 1960s that this became an all-round camp. Before that, it was just, what, people would come up from LA or other places to fish in the summertime?
Yeah, fish and get out of the heat and get to the mountain alpine environment.
Look at these little cabins right here. Now here's a perfect example. Is that an original cabin?
These are all absolutely original, just fixed up and kept painted throughout the years.
That's original wood.
Absolutely.
Boy, they built these things well, didn't they? And the neat thing about it is of course the location. Prime location then and prime location today, right here on the lake.
Yeah, this is nice deep water. You can always have plenty of water to enjoy the lake.
And this morning I got up about 5:30. The sun was coming up across the lake, coming right into my cabin right here, which you explained to me how this cabin got its name.
Yeah, this is our cabin called Sunrise because of the sun rising, and it's one of the prime cabins at Shore Acres Lodge here.
Inside the Sunrise cabin, this is the first thing that caught my eye when I got in here last night. This wonderful old rocking chair made out of creaky old logs, which has to be an old one, and just the whole decor with the fireplace and the pine paneling and the old fishing rod up on the wall. It all kind of goes back to the early days.
Yeah, when those come up to Big Bear, a lot of them want to experience the mountain cabin experience. They want to feel like they're away, really in a completely different environment. So the pine panel, the view of the lake, the smell, if you notice the smell of vanilla off of the Jeffrey pines, the decor gets them completely away from where they came from.
I slept in this wonderful bed last night with the windows open. And the birds were going this morning, and the fresh, cool mountain air was coming in all night. It was really a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it's so far away but so close.
Yeah.
You really can experience a vacation simple.
So there it is. Here we are. We're starting another day here on Big Bear Lake. We're very excited about our second day here. But I got to thank you for your hospitality and our great night here. It's called Shore Acres Lodge now. It used to be called...
It was originally Potter's Camp.
Potter's Camp back in...
It started in 1907 and had evolved. Shore Acres took the name probably in the 60s.
Yeah, everything evolves, but everything kind of stays the same too. This is definitely Old Big Bear, and this is definitely the best night's sleep I've had in a long time. We are refreshed and ready to start our second day. Okay, now we are out on the water, and we are out on the water at probably the most historic spot on the entire Big Bear Lake. We're right above the dam. We're with Captain John, and Captain John, you've been leading tours around this lake since 1981, and what did you tell us about seeing Big Bear and understanding Big Bear?
If you want to see Big Bear, you have to see it from the water.
All right, that's why we're here. We're on the water, and I guess the way to start is to find out how this lake got here, because it's got a very rich and interesting history.
Yes, it does. The original dam was built in 1883, and it was built by a company called the Bear Valley Mutual Water Company of Redlands. And the farmers of Redlands got together, formed a corporation, bought all the land in Big Bear, 5,200 acres, for $68,000 in 1882. And they built the old dam in 1883. And the old dam is just a rock and concrete structure, 52 feet high. It's about 368 feet long.
Now, why did they dam up this lake to start with, create this lake?
They dammed it up for the citrus growers of the Redlands area. They bought it, They bought the land and they came and built the dam for irrigation water for the citrus in Redlands.
So the idea was this lake was here to send the water down the mountain to the farmers.
Yes, it was. That's exactly why they did it.
Okay, that's the first dam, the old stone dam in 1883. And that was followed quickly by
1911. They built the new dam, which is 20 feet higher than the old dam. The old dam was 52 feet high, and the new dam is 72 feet high.
So that made the lake bigger. Now, what was that? The farmers, the growers were just getting greedy? They wanted more water?
Well, they had more citrus, and the more citrus they had, the more water they needed, so they had to make the dam bigger. But adding the extra 20 feet to the new dam increased the capacity of the lake by 2/3.
Oh, my
Made it a lot
gosh.
bigger. Yeah.
So it was a big Bear Lake then?
It was a big Bear Lake then, yes.
Now, this isn't a very deep lake, is it? We're right at the deepest part right now.
Yeah, the deepest part is at the dam, 72 feet deep.
Now, we have just started. We're at the which end of the lake are we right now?
We're on the west end.
But you said this was your favorite part of the lake, and obviously, if you look right up here, it's the most historic part of the lake. Tell us about what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, these houses are in the Southwest Shore Historic Colony. There are 81 houses in here, and they're all registered with the state of California as a state historic landmark.
Now, why are they state historic landmarks?
Because of their age. They were all built around the turn of the century, and they're original old log cabins and shake shingle houses.
And who owns these houses?
These are owned by individuals from all over Southern California that they actually lease the land from the Forest Service, and they own the houses.
Mm-hmm. So these are all on Forest Service land?
Yes, they are.
From the old over to the new. Look at these new houses over here. They are huge.
They're huge. This is Papoose Bay Estates in here.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yes.
And when did all this start happening? When did all the big houses start coming in?
The big houses didn't start coming in until probably the late 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
So Big Bear still up until the 70s was a place of kind of little cabins.
Lots of little cabins, lots of little vacation homes, and now it's they're building bigger and bigger and bigger houses all the time.
Yeah, this is amazing. Good morning. What are y'all doing out here? Obviously you're fishing.
Fishing, yes.
Have you just started, or have you already caught a lot?
We've been here a couple hours.
So what can you show us that you've caught so far? There we go.
Yeah.
You're just starting off. By the end of the day, you're going to have a whole boatload of those things. And you caught all of those fish this morning.
These are my brothers.
2 weeks ago, we were getting 18, 19 inches here.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
They bite.
What a wonderful way to spend a day out on the lake.
It's beautiful up here.
And you got your little cabin?
Yeah.
All's right with the world.
That's right.
Goodbye.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you all too. More nice people on the lake. Get ready for an adventure, because now we have left Big Bear Lake. Actually, Connie, how far is Big Bear Lake from here?
About a half a mile to the north.
Just right over here.
Mm-hmm.
I've hooked up with Connie Baker, who is a local yokel. She knows her history. She's lived here a long time, and look where she has brought us, to this wonderful place that has a very rich history to it. Connie, tell us all about the history of Cedar Lake.
Well, Cedar Lake is man-made. It was a development in the 20s. Originally, it had been a cattle ranch, sold to the Bartletts in the 20s, and they thought they would subdivide it and develop it.
And put little cabins around here.
That was the idea.
People were going to come out from the city and spend the weekend up here in the mountains.
They had a big parcel. There was about 300 acres, but they couldn't get anybody to come. In those days, this was very far from town. So they thought, well, we'll build a lake. We'll build a dam.
That'll get them out here.
And we'll get the stream water. It's still today, it's a natural lake from stream water, from snow water.
So they built this lake, this little artificial lake, back in the...
1929 it was finished.
And still people didn't come.
Still people didn't come. They thought, well, now what are we going to do? And without the Bartletts trying, the movie industry found it.
Hollywood discovered this lake. There's the real story here, because I don't know whether people will recognize this or not, but anybody who's been to see a movie or watched a television program probably has seen this lake. Everything's been filmed out here.
That's right. There are over 40 movies were made here, and many television shows. Rin Tin Tin was made here, if the baby boomers will remember that one.
Lassie.
Lassie.
Lassie. Lassie. Right here.
Right.
First movie in 1933, wasn't it?
First movie in 33, and as recently as 1998.
And I've seen the list. It's everybody from Henry Fonda to Elvis Presley to Randolph Scott to Gene Autry. They all.
Roy Rogers, many of the stars.
What was it about this lake that so? Well, they had a movie set out here, didn't they?
In 33, RKO, which was a big studio in those days, actually put set fronts all the way around the entire lake, obviously except for the dam. The funny part of that is that the following year, Warner Brothers came in and tore it all down for a different kind of a movie. But through the years, there were many sets here. People would come to picnic, really to see the movies, to watch and see movie stars. Guy Bartlett, who was the owner by that time in the late 40s, figured out that he ought to charge, so he started charging $0.25
for people to come in and watch the movies
so they
being
could come
made.
in and watch. And then he put rowboats in the lake, and he put fish in the lake, and made a business out of it.
Boy, this is amazing. Thank you so much for bringing us here. What's interesting, we don't usually visit places that the general public can't come to. The general public can't come in, but it is available for church groups and school groups to come year-round for camping, for retreats, for cookouts, for all of these kind of things. So it is used today by camp and school groups from all over Southern California.
It is, all 12 months of the year, Nordic skiing included.
Wow, I got to tell you, let's get one more look at this. This is a treasure right here by Big Bear Lake, Cedar Lake, a man-made lake, been here since the 1920s, and it is a jewel. Well, we're a little bit late getting here, but I tell you what, there's no better way to find out about a community than to visit the local museum. And Tom, tell everybody where it is we are right now.
Well, you're in the eastern part of Big Bear Valley, and this is the Big Bear Valley Historical Society's museum.
This is where all the secrets and the past history of Big Bear Valley are kept, right here.
We have it buried right here.
Absolutely. We've come here looking for it. Here is our welcoming committee. These are all members of the Historical Society.
That is true.
Nice to meet you all. Everybody looks very historic and like they, know what they're talking about.
Well, they're all part of the museum too, you know.
Absolutely. A museum is only as good as the people who work in it day in and day out, right?
And I tell you, we have a lot of people that work here too, and there's been an enormous amount of work done.
Absolutely. Well, now we are here because we've already seen a lot of Big Bear. We've been out on the lake, we've been around town, but this is the place to come to really go back and find out about the early days of this area. And you've got some stuff to show us, don't you?
I sure do.
Okay, we are starting off our tour at a very historic, this is not just any old log cabin, is it, Tom?
Boy, I'll say it isn't. This is the oldest log cabin in Bear Valley.
The oldest log cabin in Bear Valley. Now, how do we know that? It's not that I don't take your word for it, but how old is this thing?
That cabin was built in 1875, and that's years before the first dam was even built.
Really? Now, how did it get here? It wasn't built on this exact spot.
That is true. It was moved here, and this is the first time this cabin's been on a concrete foundation.
Since it was built?
Since it was built.
Now, these are the original logs right here? This is all the original stuff.
This was built as a hunting lodge out beyond Fawnskin, and it was quite large for its size, and used as that for a number of years. And then the Hitchcock Ranch people who had cattle over there used it as a line cabin.
What kind of hunting would have gone on? Why would this have been built? To hunt what?
Deer.
Deer.
this country was full of deer and maybe even bear at that point in time.
Now that's what I was after. Wonder if they were hunting bears, because there were still a lot of grizzlies around back then.
There would have been probably,
All right, can we look inside?
Be my guest.
Because as interesting as it is on the outside, I have a feeling it's pretty neat inside as well.
This is a great old cabin.
Oh boy, this is neat. Now tell us what we're seeing. Is this authentic? Is this the way it would have looked? It wouldn't have been this fancy, would it?
Well, it probably wouldn't have been, Huell, but it's pretty representative of that period in history. And this old cabin is a very good example of what it was like at that time.
And all these implements, these cooking pans, all this on the wall, this is authentic as well?
That all represents this period of time.
Mm-hmm. And look at I love the way it was built with these big logs across the ceiling.
Actually, in the early period when it was built, it had small logs running where the sawn rafters are now. But they were originally poles like this too, and it had hand-cut shakes on the roof.
Wow. Now, wait a minute, there wouldn't have been, this is women's clothing. There were no women out here then, were there?
Well, I suppose there were women, but I don't think they wore that kind of clothing.
And here are these beds. These are the real thing, made out of wood here.
They're made out of native wood. We had a factory up here that built this kind of material.
I love it. Look at this chest of drawers over here. Back then, I guess everything, here's the bed table over here, all of this was literally made out of local wood.
Absolutely.
And were there people here who specialized in making this kind of furniture?
This was made by the Burton Furniture Company here, and they were very, very popular in the early days. And today, this is all collector's items.
Oh, absolutely. Look at the table over here. There's another one of these wooden tables with little drawers in them. Boy, this is the real McCoy right here.
It is indeed.
As simple as this cabin was, it was a big deal to construct it, and it's a big deal that it's still here today for people like us to come in and see it.
Oh, that's very true. This is probably the prize exhibit we have here at the museum. People really enjoy this old cabin because it has the furnishings that were typical of that point in time.
And I tell you what, television can't pick it up, but it smells old in here too.
It is old.
Well, we're ending up our quick tour here at the museum in front of another one of your pride and joys, and this goes back to a very interesting part of the history around here.
That goes back to the very beginning of the history of Bear Valley, Huell. We had the biggest gold rush in Southern California here in 1860, and that created the need for stamp mills to crush ore. And this is a typical stamp mill of that era.
Now, most people don't realize that there was a gold rush, that gold was discovered right here in this area.
That's absolutely true. A lot of people don't realize that, but it is very important to the beginning of the history of this valley.
And when you talk about the beginning of the history, you're talking long before the first dam was built, long before the first tourist ever showed up. You're talking basically, you know, coming out of nowhere.
Right. Without the gold discovery, why Bear Valley would have not been developed for many, many years.
Is there still gold in them thar hills?
You better believe it. There's a lot of gold in them.
Well, I tell you what, there's gold in the hills, and there's gold here in this museum. This is a wonderful museum. You can't come to Big Bear and not visit this museum. We have just scraped the surface. There is a lot to see and do and learn at this museum. This is a real treasure too, Tom.
It is, and we're very proud of it, and we just welcome visitors here to come and enjoy it with us.
Thank you very, very much.
My pleasure.
We've had a quick trip, but a very educational trip. Well, we're ending up our two-day road trip to Big Bear out here once again on Big Bear Lake. And what a wonderful 2 days we have had here in this amazing place called Big Bear. This place that is so full of history, and there are all kinds of things to do here. And of course, there are lots of nice people who call this place home. I highly recommend a visit to Big Bear If you love history, if you love natural wonders, if you love just getting out with your family and friends and seeing the very best that California has to offer. And now we're kind of ending up with all of our friends out here on the lake, on Captain John's boat, and we're on kind of a tight PBS budget, so we've got cheese, crackers, and inexpensive wine.
It has a cork.
It does have a cork on it. And we're going to have a little celebration out here to kind of celebrate the end of a wonderful 2-day road trip to Big Bear. There's a song specifically written about Big Bear Lake, wasn't there?
Written by Mel Blanc back in about 1948-49.
And what's the story behind the song?
The song is, he moved to Big Bear. You know, he came here in the 40s and built a little cabin on the shore of the lake here. And he came here for the peace and quiet. And every morning at 6 o'clock, the fishermen would start up their little outboard motors and putt-putt around the lake, and it would wake him up. So he put all of his buddies together in his garage one day, and they came up with a song. They wrote a song called Big Bear Lake, and it's Big Bear Lake with the motorboats a puttin'.
How does that go?
It's Big Bear Lake with the motorboats a puttin'. It goes puttin' all day. It's really a great little song.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed our road trip to Big Bear as much as I did. If you'd like to see this adventure again or share it with family and friends, all you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.
Road Trip with Huell Hauser has been made possible by the Automobile Club of Southern California.
Wherever you're headed on your next road trip, the Auto Club knows the territory. For travel tips or comprehensive destination information, as well as booking your next family vacation, our website is a great first stop on any journey, no matter how far away your destination may be. Through all life's travels, we're always with you.